Welcome to today's Explainer. If you spent any time online lately, you've definitely seen the tidal wave of conflicting advice out there. Is fasting the ultimate health tool for women? Or is it going to absolutely wreck your hormones? Today, we are cutting straight through the social media noise. We're going to look strictly at the clinical data and the biological truths to uncover exactly how fasting impacts the female body, all the way from your weekly hormonal cycles right through the transition into menopause.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're covering the female fasting debate, why women fast differently, fasting with your cycle, the perimenopause transition, menopause, muscle, and stress, and we'll wrap it all up with best practices for women.
Section 1. The female fasting debate. So, is fasting actually harmful for women? You've likely heard the swirling fears, right? That skipping breakfast is going to spike your cortisol, completely destroy your thyroid, or cause you to lose your period. It can sound incredibly intimidating. But before we get into the modern nuances of all this, it's really worth taking a step back. From an evolutionary perspective, early human tribes didn't separate food by gender during a famine. Historically, humans of all genders just fasted together because, well, that's simply how food availability worked.
Dr. Ken Berry's clinical perspective brings some really helpful clarity here. First off, male and female humans share about 98.5% of the exact same DNA. The idea that a fundamental human survival mechanism like fasting is inherently toxic to just one gender, it completely lacks evolutionary evidence. But what about those specific fears? Well, when people claim fasting causes hypothyroidism, they're often just misinterpreting the blood work. You see, when you lose weight and get metabolically healthier, your cells actually become less resistant to thyroid hormones. Just like insulin resistance improving, your thyroid doesn't need to pump out as much hormone to get the job done. That lowered thyroid output is actually a sign of healthy, reduced resistance, not disease. And lost periods? That is almost always a symptom of chronic, aggressive calorie restriction, not the simple act of fasting itself.
Section 2. Why women fast differently.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that while we just established our DNA is remarkably similar, women are emphatically not just small men. Deep in the brain, we have these kisspeptin neurons. Think of them like your body's master hormone thermostats. Men have one primary cluster controlling appetite, but women, we have two distinct areas. That second area acts like a highly sensitive security alarm, constantly monitoring estrogen and thyroid function. If you force an intense, unfueled workout, that alarm rings. The female brain literally perceives starvation, downregulates the thyroid, and alters your entire endocrine system.
Furthermore, as Dr. Stacy Sims points out, women physically possess more oxidative muscle fibers than men. What does that actually mean? It means women are naturally built like endurance rovers. The female body is already metabolically flexible and primed to burn fat. So when women push aggressive fasted workouts in the morning to try and force fat adaptation, they're really trying to solve a problem they don't even have. Instead of helping, it just massively spikes cortisol and sympathetic stress.
Section 3. Fasting with your cycle.
Dr. Pal uses this brilliant analogy here, describing the female body as a delicate musical orchestra. When one single instrument is out of tune, the whole symphony sounds awful. This hormonal orchestra is exactly why static, repetitive daily fasting often totally fails for premenopausal women. Fasting works beautifully, but only when it's perfectly timed to the fluctuating nature of our two-star players. You've got estrogen, which is highly resilient and absolutely loves fasting, and then you've got progesterone, which is incredibly sensitive and literally demands glucose to function.
Let's look at this mapped out across a standard 28-day cycle. During phase 1, the first 10 days, estrogen is building up. Estrogen loves fasting, providing this incredible stress resilience so you can comfortably push those 16-hour fasts. But notice phase 2, the transition. As ovulation occurs, you really need to taper back to about 14 hours. Finally, in phase 3, progesterone peaks. Progesterone needs insulin, and insulin needs carbs. Forcing a 16-hour fast here risks extreme cravings and total burnout. Dialing back to 12 hours is how you work with your biology, not against it.
Section 4. The perimenopause transition.
Let's move to and see how this builds across the crucial perimenopause years. Because this transition isn't just an overnight switch, it spans the years leading up to, during, and after menopause. During this decade, estrogen naturally and kind of erratically declines, and a woman's stress response fundamentally alters. That aggressive fasting protocol that kept you super lean in your 20s? Yeah, that can suddenly trigger complete burnout in your 40s.
The clinical data analyzed by Dr. Jason Fung shows this really dangerous inverse relationship during these years. Leading up to menopause, women average a rise in fat mass, about a pound a year, while simultaneously suffering a steep decline in lean muscle. Losing your metabolic engine, muscle, while gaining fat is exactly why your metabolism suddenly feels like it just hit a brick wall.
Section 5. Menopause, Muscle, and Stress.
To understand why this muscle loss actually accelerates, you have to look at the hormone hierarchy. Nurse practitioner Cynthia Thurlow emphasizes that the body will always prioritize survival over reproduction. Always. Cortisol is our primary survival hormone. If you are constantly stressed from overfasting, cortisol essentially hijacks your sex hormones. It drives up glucose, which spikes insulin, and ultimately creates what clinicians call a cortisol belly, completely throwing off your hormonal balance.
This leads to a highly destructive pattern known as the female athlete triad in menopause. When women start noticing that weight gain, they panic, right? So they overexercise, push their fast longer, and severely restrict their calories, especially protein. Stacking these three massive stressors on a body that's already losing estrogen's protection leads to total exhaustion, accelerated bone loss, and the literal catabolism, or breaking down, of precious muscle tissue.
And this brilliantly illustrates why a mindset shift is absolutely mandatory here. Even Cynthia Thurlow, who is incredibly well known for intermittent fasting, adapted her approach in her 40s. To protect your metabolic muscle, aggressive 16-hour fasts often need to be benched. Instead, menopausal women really thrive on a gentler digestive rest window of just 12 to 13 hours, eating 3 solid protein-heavy meals.
Section 6. Best Practices for Women.
Okay, let's synthesize all these clinical insights into a definitive action plan. Step 1. Sleep is non-negotiable. Prioritize 6 to 9 hours. Dr. Fung's data shows getting less than 5 hours drastically spikes weight gain. Step 2. Fuel adequately. Aim for 100 grams of high-quality protein a day. Step 3. Lift heavy weights 2 to 3 times a week to combat that bone loss. And step 4, if you're over 40, embrace those shorter 12-hour periods of digestive rest to protect your highly sensitive nervous system.
So the crucial point here is this. When you open your window, eat like you mean it. Chronic undereating crashes your thyroid. When breaking a fast with whole, real foods rich in protein and healthy fats, you should eat until you are comfortably, completely full. Providing abundant nutrients signals to your biology that you are safe, you're not starving.
Which leaves us with this final thought. The female body is an intricate landscape, and it's deeply impacted by the stages of life. Fasting is a phenomenal, powerful tool, but it's not a blunt instrument you can just swing wildly. Ask yourself, are you adjusting your fast to honor your cycle and your age, or are you stubbornly fighting against your own biology? It's time to listen to the data, stop fighting your hormones, and finally start working with them.